Do you have a paranormal encounter you'd like to share with us? Send us an email with your story for a chance of it being featured on Weird World. I have recently been grappling with a perplexing event that occurred on a drive home. I'm uncertain as to how it happened, and I'm struggling to come up with a plausible explanation. I have joined an online group only recently, specifically with the intention of seeking answers to what transpired on that night. Despite my efforts, I've been unable to find any similar accounts or information that might help me make sense of what I experienced. However, it is possible that my lack of familiarity with the platform is hindering my ability to find relevant information. I'm reaching out to the community for assistance in finding related accounts or for any thoughts on the matter. I'm eager to understand what happened to me, and I'm open to any suggestions or insights that might shed light on this mysterious occurrence. Several nights ago, as I embarked on my journey home, I was alone in my vehicle, enjoying the tranquility that driving in the evening brings me. It was around 10 p.m, and I had just dropped off my children at their father's house, which is located 30 miles away from my home. I had my radio on and was singing along to some songs. The road I was on is one that I'm intimately familiar with, as I drive it virtually every single day. I know it like the back of my hand, as it connects the town where my children's father resides to my own town. Recently, I've especially preferred this back road over the highway, as it has allowed me to avoid the inconvenience of an ongoing road construction project which has restricted the highway to one lane for outgoing traffic. As I was driving along, I had the radio blasting while I was singing at the top of my lungs, and by then only about 10 miles away from my home. Suddenly, the radio emitted a strange static sound and then went completely silent. I looked around and was startled to find that I could not recognize my surroundings. I was positive that I had not made any wrong turns, as this is a road that I travel on at least twice daily, to and from work and to drop off my kids. Despite this, the landmarks were unfamiliar, and the buildings that were usually there were gone. The road itself looked ancient. It was no longer made of concrete, and it wasn't gravel either. The best way I can describe it is that it looked like well-packed dirt, yet still clearly recognizable as a road. I felt confused and decided to slow down to take in my surroundings. There was a wooden structure on the side of the road, resembling an old cottage that I had never seen before. The most peculiar aspect of the house was the presence of an old-fashioned horse-drawn carriage parked outside. As I continued to drive, I noticed a light in the distance. As I approached, I realized that it was a small fire in front of another similar-looking old building. There was a man standing next to the fire who was dressed in clothing that appeared to be from the 18th or 19th century. I couldn't help but stare in shock at this man. He wore suspenders, a white shirt, and had a long beard, and, as he noticed me, quickly ran inside the building. As I continued to drive, now slowly, past, he came back out, this time accompanied by a woman. She wore a flowing dress that flared out at the bottom, also seeming to be from around the same period. The man gestured towards my vehicle, and the woman covered her mouth with both hands in apparent shock, as if they had never seen a car before. My car is a 2017 Yukon, nothing extraordinary, just my everyday mum vehicle. The man and woman just stood there with expressions of utter disbelief etched on their faces, seemingly astonished or terrified, or perhaps both. I decided to pull away and keep driving, but as I did, I continued to notice more and more that nothing was as I remembered it. Absolutely nothing was familiar. The street signs were missing, and the side roads that were once there were gone, replaced only by fields. I was positive that I was not lost, as the route from my children's father's house to mine is straightforward and requires no turns. It is virtually impossible to get lost. Along the road, I noticed wells that I had never seen before, and old structures resembling again 18th or 19th century houses, reminiscent of the Little House on the Prairie series. There were horses tied up, fires burning, and yet more people dressed in antiquated clothing. There were no modern vehicles at all to be seen, and everyone I saw looked petrified. Even the air felt different. Everything was completely unfamiliar. After driving for a few more minutes, I passed several more buildings, some of which resembled small stores. Then suddenly my radio came back on. The air felt normal again, and I found myself exactly where I was supposed to be. I was on the same road I had been on all along, just a bit further down. Everything looked normal again, and the road no longer appeared old. There were no more old houses or people dressed up in strange clothing. I was so confused that I pulled over and did a quick U-turn, but there was nothing out of the ordinary, absolutely nothing. I knew for a fact that what I had seen was real, that it was not a dream or a hallucination. I had made eye contact with the man in suspenders, and he had run inside to grab his wife and show her my vehicle. Although, despite my certainty, I was still at a complete loss to explain what happened. I am a native of this area and have spent 25 years of my life here. There are no Amish settlements in this region. The closest ones are located 3 hours north of my location. I have been driving on this road twice a day for the past 10 years. I am utterly baffled and cannot even begin to explain in any reasonable terms what I have experienced. It truly is as if I stumbled into a completely different era, circa the 18th or 19th century. I considered whether it might be a historically themed event, but quickly dismissed this, as this would not explain the antiquated and outright missing buildings, roads, and infrastructure. Instead, I am left with the absolutely absurd notion of some kind of portal or wormhole through time, or some other disturbance related to time. I've been searching for answers on the app for over a week, but have yet to find any explanations. I am posting my experience in the hope that someone may be able to offer some insight. One unusual thing I've noticed since the incident occurred is that I've been feeling a strange physical discomfort, like I have been in a car accident. It's been around a week now, and my body aches all over, specifically my back. It's a soreness that feels similar to a bruise, but there's no visible injury. It's a deep, persistent pain that reminds me of the soreness you feel after a strenuous workout. I've been dealing with it for a week, and it's only now just starting to subside. It's quite odd, and I can't help but wonder if it's connected to this strange event. My background is unremarkable, and I have no history of mental health issues. I am generally a contented person. I occasionally smoke weed, but I did not consume any on the day of the incident, as I was occupied with a busy work schedule. I don't drink, and I was completely sober during the occurrence. I cannot simply dismiss what I saw as a hallucination or a dream. The details ingrained in my memory are too clear, vivid, and coherent. I remember the expressions on the people's faces and the distinct, antiquated appearance of everything. The experience has consumed me for over a week now, and despite my own rational tendencies, I am unable to come up with any kind of reasonable or logical explanation for it.